New York City didn't just happen. It was engineered, fought over, bankrupted, bombed, rebuilt, and constantly reinvented. You know the skyline. You know the name. But what if I told you this city was almost abandoned, survived a 7-year foreign occupation, went bankrupt twice, and still managed to become the most influential urban center on Earth? From a Lenape fishing ground to a Dutch trading post, from a revolutionary battleground to the financial capital of the world, this isn't just a city's story. It's the story of America itself. Welcome to History Unfolded. Today, we're going beyond the postcards and tracing the real, unvarnished history of New York. And by the end, you'll understand why this island refuses to stay quiet. Long before stock tickers or subway maps, this was Lenape territory. They called it Mannahatta, Island of Many Hills, and thrived through seasonal fishing, controlled burns, and vast trade networks stretching deep into the continent. Then, in 1609, an English explorer named Henry Hudson, sailing for the Dutch, pushed his ship up a wide, tidal river. That single voyage triggered a chain reaction. By 1624, the Dutch had fortified the southern tip of Manhattan, calling it New Amsterdam. 2 years later, Director General Peter Minuit recorded a transaction for the island, goods worth about 60 guilders. Historians now agree this wasn't a European-style purchase, but a cross-cultural misunderstanding of land use. Yet it worked. New Amsterdam exploded into a gritty, polyglot port. Dutch merchants, Sephardic Jews, enslaved Africans, and English smugglers all jostling for space. By the 1650s, it was already the most diverse settlement in North America. But the Dutch were sitting on a powder keg. In 1664, 4 British warships appeared in the harbor. Outgunned and isolated, the Dutch surrendered without firing a shot. New Amsterdam became New York, named for the Duke of York. Under the Crown, the city's economy shifted, furs gave way to shipping, and New York became a key node in the transatlantic trade, including the brutal slave economy. But by the 1770s, resentment boiled over. When revolution erupted, New York wasn't just a participant, it was the prize. In 1776, Washington's army was crushed at Long Island. The British marched in, turning the city into a military stronghold for 7 grueling years. Prison ships rotted in Wallabout Bay. Thousands died. Yet beneath the occupation, a shadow network of patriots kept the rebellion alive. When the British finally left in 1783, they left behind a shattered city and a nation that needed a capital. New York answered the call. In 1789, George Washington took the presidential oath at Federal Hall. The first Congress met here. The Bill of Rights was drafted here. The capital soon moved to Philadelphia, but New York had already proven something vital: it could survive ruin and still lead. For a brief moment, New York could have remained a regional port. Then came 1825. The Erie Canal opened, linking the Great Lakes to the Atlantic. Overnight, New York became America's commercial gateway. Goods, capital, and people flooded in. The population exploded. Irish and German immigrants fled famine and failed revolutions, packing into tenements that stretched toward the northern marshes. But ambition outpaced infrastructure. Streets were unpaved, cholera spread, fire ravaged neighborhoods, so the city engineered its way forward. In 1842, the Croton Aqueduct brought clean water. In 1858, Central Park was carved from rocky wasteland. And in 1883, the Brooklyn Bridge defied physics and skepticism, connecting 2 separate cities into one metropolitan vision. 3 years later, France gifted the Statue of Liberty, a beacon that would soon greet millions crossing the Atlantic. New York wasn't just growing, it was becoming a global magnet. But a magnet needs structure. On January 1, 1898, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island officially merged into a single city of over 3 million. The modern New York was born. The subway opened in 1904, stitching boroughs together and fueling a vertical boom. Skyscrapers pierced the sky. Jazz echoed in Harlem. The 1920s brought wealth, but also staggering inequality. Then came the crash of 1929. Wall Street collapsed. The Great Depression hit New York like a tidal wave, yet the city adapted. Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia channeled New Deal funds into public works, parks, and transit. Decades later, in the 1970s, New York faced another near collapse. Bankruptcy loomed. Crime spiked. Infrastructure crumbled. Headlines mocked the city's decline. But once again, New Yorkers refused to fold. Community organizations, artists, and everyday residents rebuilt block by block. The city's greatest survival skill wasn't money, it was stubborn resilience. The 1980s and 90s brought a financial renaissance. Times Square transformed from a cautionary tale into a cultural crossroads. Real estate boomed. But with growth came new vulnerabilities. In 1993, a truck bomb exploded beneath the World Trade Center. 8 years later, on a clear September morning, 2 hijacked planes changed the skyline and the world forever. Nearly 3,000 lives were lost. The economic and emotional toll was immense. Yet within years, the site became a memorial. Transit systems reopened, Wall Street adapted. New York didn't just recover, it redefined itself. Today, it's a global nexus for finance, tech, media, and the arts. One World Trade Center stands where the towers fell. But the real monument isn't steel or glass. It's the millions who chose to stay, rebuild, and push forward. The history of New York isn't a straight line. It's a series of fractures, recoveries, and reinventions. From Lenape trails to Dutch warehouses, from revolutionary streets to subway tunnels, this city has never been finished. It's constantly being rewritten by the people who call it home. And that's exactly why we study it, to see how chaos, ambition, and resilience shape the places we live. If this journey through New York's past kept you hooked, you'll want to see what's next on History Unfolded. Subscribe, hit the bell, and drop a comment below. Which city's untold history should we cover next?